You know, is something we see all the time. An incredible number of fresh, eager law graduates jump headfirst into litigation, only to completely disappear from the courtrooms within like 1 to 3 years. It is a massive trend. And so often people just make this lazy assumption that these young lawyers simply aren't tough enough for the daily grind. But as we're going to see in this explainer today, the real reasons are so much deeper than just grit or willpower. Welcome to the explainer. Today, we're breaking down the litigation exodus. I'm super excited to guide you through this, mostly because it's a topic wrapped in a whole lot of misunderstanding.
So, if it's really not about a lack of toughness, why do they actually leave? Well, the truth is, the reasons are entirely systemic. We're looking at this super complex cocktail of issues that span money, mentorship, and mindset. It's really about an environment that sometimes makes survival literally impossible for a newcomer. We're going to look closely at the reality on the ground to figure out what's actually pushing perfectly passionate people out of the courtroom doors. So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to hit the money problem, the stagnation in work culture, the immense mental and social pressure, expectations versus reality, and finally, we'll wrap up with a framework on whether you should quit litigation. Let's dive right in. Starting with Section 1, the money problem.
Look, you simply cannot talk about early career litigation without addressing the absolute elephant in the room: crippling financial instability. It so often gets masked by these romantic ideas of, paying your dues, but look at this stark juxtaposition. On one side, the standard litigation stipend is literally a token amount. It barely, and I mean barely, covers the cost of rent and a subway pass in a major metro city. You could be working for months earning next to nothing. Meanwhile, on the exact same day, your law school batchmates who took corporate firm jobs or in-house roles or compliance positions, they're pulling in high, comfortable starting salaries right from day one. Watching your peers build actual financial security while you're counting pennies just to buy lunch, man, that becomes incredibly painful very quickly.
And so, the absolute crucial takeaway here is this. When these young litigators hand in their notice, they aren't walking away because they suddenly decided they hate the law. Not at all. They are leaving for basic financial stability. It's often sheer economic necessity. Quitting literally becomes a survival tactic, rather than some sudden loss of passion for the courtroom. All right, moving on to Section 2, stagnation and work culture.
Okay, so let's say you can somehow survive the financial drought. Well, then you usually hit a wall of stagnation. In a corporate environment, you've got structured HR growth, right? Clear milestones. You know that after year 1, you hit milestone X. After year 3, you get promoted to Y. But litigation growth, it is wildly unpredictable. You can spend years drafting, filing, and constantly dealing with adjournments. Sure, you're learning, but there are zero clear milestones. Your progress depends entirely on the senior lawyer you work under, the specific matters that happen to walk through the door, and honestly, a good amount of dumb luck. It often feels like you're sprinting on a treadmill. You're totally exhausting yourself without actually moving forward an inch. And compounding that lack of structure is the environment itself. Because let's face it, a lot of traditional legal chambers still operate on a highly toxic old-school model. We're talking relentlessly long working hours, last-minute instructions thrown at you literally right before a high-stakes hearing, and a feedback loop that consists almost entirely of criticism. Positive reinforcement is practically a myth in these places. Plus, the overarching training philosophy is basically just learn by observing instead of any actual structured mentorship. Let's be real for a second. Feeling invisible, disrespected, and totally unguided in your own office, that is a fast track to burnout. A good mentor can absolutely make the chaotic world of litigation exciting, sustainable, and deeply rewarding. But a bad environment, it makes even the most passionate, top-of-the-class law student question why on earth they're suffering. It just breeds deep, deep resentment.
Which brings us to Section 3, mental and social pressure.
See, the toll isn't just the physical exhaustion from all those long hours. It's a massive emotional weight that these young lawyers carry, both inside and outside the courtroom. Litigation is basically an emotional pressure cooker. You're dealing with clients who are terrified, stressed, and facing life-altering consequences. You're reporting to seniors who are buckling under their own massive caseloads. You are facing off against opponents whose literal job description is to aggressively dismantle your work. And you're presenting to judges who have overflowing dockets and absolutely zero patience. So when a young lawyer gets shouted at in open court or a minor procedural mistake stalls a case, it doesn't just feel like a learning moment. It feels like a devastating, crushing personal failure. And the crazy thing is, the pressure doesn't even stop when you leave the court. Then come the inevitable societal questions. We've all heard them, right? Hey, your friend is earning so much. Why don't you just join a corporate firm? When are you finally going to get a stable job? Every single family dinner or social gathering becomes this painful reminder that you are working twice as hard as your peers for a fraction of the reward. Over time, that relentless social comparison really takes a toll. You start to internalize it. It makes a longer professional gestation period masquerade as a personal failure. But here's the realization: it's not a failure. Yet, this silent, immense social pressure causes severe anxiety and self-doubt. It's a massive reason why lawyers just quietly decide that protecting their mental health is way more important than staying in the fight. Let's look at Section 4, Expectation versus Reality.
There is just such a jarring misalignment between what is sold to law students and the actual day-to-day demands of the job. Law school, and let's be honest, movies and TV shows, they sell this very glamorous dream. Big, majestic courtrooms, famous senior advocates delivering these powerful, case-winning arguments in front of a captivated audience. But the gritty, first-year reality? Oh boy. It's standing in endless lines just to mention a matter. It's begging for adjournments. It's fighting with a jammed photocopier at 10 p.m. to arrange briefs for someone else's argument. The shock to the system is absolutely profound.
And here is something incredibly important to understand. When a young lawyer faces that stark reality and realizes, you know what, actually, scratch that. I really prefer stable office work. I prefer drafting clear documents or working in a business role over the chaos of the courts. That is a profound moment of self-discovery. Finding your true fit is definitely not a failure. It's a massive victory of self-awareness.
And that leads us to our final section. Should you quit litigation? Okay, so we've diagnosed the systemic problems, right? The money, the culture, the pressure, the shattered expectations. Now let's walk through a concrete self-reflection framework together to help find some clarity. Number 1, can you realistically handle low income for a few more years without totally destroying your well-being? Number 2, take a look around your office. Do you have at least one senior who genuinely teaches and advocates for you? Number 3, pay close attention to your body. Do you actually feel alive and energized when you step into a courtroom, or do you feel entirely drained every single day? And number 4, be brutally honest with yourself here. Are you staying in litigation only because of guilt or a fear of what other people will say?
The answers to those questions are going to point you straight to your truth. Because ultimately, the goal here is building a sustainable career, not endlessly trying to prove your toughness to a system that, frankly, often doesn't care. It is completely acceptable, perfectly rational, and highly successful to leave litigation to build a thriving career as an in-house counsel, or in policymaking, academia, or corporate law. So I want to leave you with a provocative thought to chew on. Think about everything we've unpacked today. Which of these systemic reasons do you relate to the most? Are you fighting the money problem, the culture, or the expectations? Take a moment and apply this framework to your own life. And hey, let us know. Do you want us to create an explainer completely dedicated to a survival guide for those first 3 brutal years in litigation? Let your curiosity guide your career, stop judging your own timeline, and remember that finding where you truly belong is the biggest win of all. Thanks for exploring this with me today. Catch you next time.